The friend zone, why kindness alone isn't enough to make her fall for you. Every man who has ever fallen for a woman who doesn't see him the same way knows this pain. You make her laugh. You're always there. You care more than anyone else. Yet she still chooses him, the one who barely texts back, the one who doesn't seem to care if he loses her. And while she leans on you when she's hurting, you sit quietly, hoping that one day she'll realize you were the one all along. But what if I told you that the very thing you believe is helping, your kindness, your loyalty, your emotional support, is exactly what's keeping her from ever being attracted to you? This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding how attraction really works and flipping the switch. Once you see it, she'll never look at you the same way again, and neither will you. If you've ever felt stuck in the friend zone, this is for you. And if you're here, I'll ask one thing: support this message. By subscribing, liking, or commenting, you're not just helping yourself. You're helping thousands of other men who are lost in confusion, heartbreak, and self-doubt. Now let's break down the friend zone piece by piece and how to escape it. Most men don't realize they've stepped into the friend zone until it's too late. And here's the hard truth: you weren't placed there because you weren't good enough. You ended up there because of how you showed up. You weren't forcibly rejected. You weren't cursed with bad luck. You walked into that space with every well-intentioned action you believed would bring her closer to you. You gave emotionally. You were always available. You listened to every rant, every complaint, every story about how some other guy broke her heart. You became her therapist, her cheerleader, her support system. And deep down, you believed that if you were there for her more than anyone else, if you were the guy who never gave up, who never made her cry, who always responded, she would eventually see your worth. But that day never comes. Not like that, not in the way you hoped. Because women don't fall in love with comfort. They don't feel chemistry with predictability. They don't crave what's always within reach. What you gave her, though kind, though thoughtful, lacked the one ingredient that turns emotional connection into attraction: tension. Missing ingredient: emotional tension. Attraction doesn't bloom in a place where everything is easy. It grows where there's polarity, where there's a push and pull, a difference, a chase. When you become the man who's always a phone call away, who replies instantly, who listens for hours while she cries about another guy, you condition her to see you as the one who catches her, not the one who makes her heart race. Not because you're unworthy, not because you lack something physical or intellectual, but because you've made yourself too emotionally accessible, too dependable. And that emotional safety tells her subconscious, she doesn't have to earn you, she doesn't have to impress you, she doesn't have to worry about losing you. And when we never fear losing something, we rarely desire it. Why she chooses the guy who treats her like an afterthought. You've trained her to see you as the one who will always be there, not as the man she could lose if she doesn't step up. There's no edge, no challenge, no fire. Meanwhile, the guy who barely texts her back, the one who ghosts her, the one who treats her like an option, he creates uncertainty, and uncertainty in small doses creates emotional volatility. That volatility, it hooks her, it keeps her thinking, it makes her feel something. You provide stability, he provides intensity. And that's why she keeps crying to you about him. Oubliez the harsh truth about emotional availability. You offer your heart on a silver platter. But here's the problem. What's freely given, without any standards, without any boundaries, without any cost, rarely holds value in the human mind. No, you weren't placed in the friend zone because you weren't tall enough, funny enough, or rich enough. You weren't friend-zoned because you were too nice. You were friend-zoned because you didn't give her a reason to feel something for you other than safety. And without emotional tension, there is no attraction. Not now, not ever. At least not until you change the way you show up. How to reset her perception of you. The moment you realize that her view of you is based on how you've consistently shown up is the moment real change begins. To shift her perception, you don't need to. Beg her to see you differently. Prove your worth. Make her realize what she's missing. You just need to show up differently. Not dramatically, not manipulatively, but powerfully. Here's how. 1. Step back, without anger or bitterness. If she texts you at midnight, upset because another guy ghosted her, don't rush to the rescue. Don't put on your emotional armor, ready to be her savior again. Instead, respond briefly, neutrally, kindly, but distantly. You really gotta stop letting guys treat you like that. Anyway, can't talk long, heading out. That one sentence carries more weight than 100 compliments. Why? Because in it you're telling her, you're no longer her on-call therapist. You're not a bottomless well of sympathy. You have your own life, your own focus. This change is subtle but seismic. She may not say anything at first. She may even act like she didn't notice. But she felt it. Because what was once guaranteed, your attention, your time, is suddenly limited. And anything that becomes limited becomes valuable. 2. Reclaim your emotional power. This isn't about playing games. It's about standards. You're no longer giving your energy away for free. You're no longer available for emotional dumping sessions where you secretly hope, this time, she'll finally choose you. You're stepping into a new version of yourself, one who respects his own time, his own worth. And when you do that, she'll have no choice but to respect it too. Final thought, attraction isn't built on comfort. You can be the kindest, most loyal, most supportive man in the world. But if you don't create tension, if you don't give her a reason to chase, she'll never see you as more than a friend. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about understanding how attraction works and adjusting your approach. Because the man who stands firm in his worth, who doesn't settle for emotional leftovers, who refuses to be an option, that's the man she can't ignore. Flipping the script, presence, silence, and power. You don't have to announce that you're changing. You don't need to explain yourself. You simply become a man whose emotional energy must be earned, not assumed. When she calls again, when she texts, and you don't reply instantly like you always used to. When she asks to hang out and you say, can't, got plans. She will begin to wonder, and wondering, that's the first sign her image of you is changing. That safe, always there guy is fading. Someone stronger, more self-respecting, more intriguing is emerging. Because when you walk away quietly and confidently, with no bitterness, only certainty, you stop being the backup plan. You become the standard, and the one who can walk away without trying to make someone follow. That's the one who holds the power. Was how to build new attractive habits. Once you've created space, once you've pulled your energy back from the woman who only saw you as a friend, your work isn't done. This isn't about using distance as a strategy to make her chase. That mindset still revolves around her, and that's the problem. Because this transformation, it's not about her. It's about you. It's about who you become in that space. The silence you create shouldn't be empty. It should be filled with growth, with strength, with momentum. You're not disappearing. You're evolving. Now is when you start rebuilding. Not from a place of pain or revenge, but from power. This isn't about becoming colder. It's about becoming sharper, more directed, more disciplined, more magnetic. And that begins with your habits, your energy, your actions. Start with your body. Not because you think a six-pack will magically grab her attention, but because how you carry yourself changes everything. When you train your body, you build discipline. When you move with purpose, you create presence. You start walking differently, speaking differently, not because you're pretending, but because confidence becomes your default. You're not going to the gym to impress her. You're building a life where you impress yourself. Every rep, every drop of sweat, it's you saying, I choose to rise. Then look at your environment. All your attention used to flow toward one woman. It's time to spread that energy, not to manipulate, not to provoke jealousy, but to free yourself from emotional scarcity. Be around other women, talk to them, engage, connect. Not because you need someone else to validate you, but because it reminds you of something important. She's not your only option. She's not your entire world. You have choices. You have value that extends far beyond her perception. Expand your social life. Say yes to new experiences. Go where you haven't gone. Talk to people you've never talked to. Build a life that's not just full, but full of movement. Because when your life is active, when your mind is stimulated, when your goals are front and center, your energy shifts completely. You stop being reactive. You stop wondering what she's doing. You stop needing her attention like oxygen. You become the man who is rare. And rarity, that always raises value. The best part, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to make a big post about how you're working on yourself. She'll notice. Women are intuitive. They can feel it when a man's attention is no longer orbiting them, when his emotional energy is no longer wrapped around their approval. She'll sense the change in your tone, in your confidence, in your presence. The guy who used to wait for her, now he's laughing in a group she's not a part of. The guy who used to ask how her day went, now he's living a day worth talking about. And when she notices, she won't be able to unsee it. The silence you used to carry, the one that came from need, has transformed into the calm of a man who is no longer attached. A man who moves with direction, not distraction. That's when you've made the shift. That's when you stop being the guy she talks to when she's bored and start becoming the man she wonders about when you're not around. Because now, you're no longer orbiting her. You've become your own sun. Drew to how to re-engage with power. After you step back, after you rebuild yourself, after she starts to notice the absence of your constant attention, that's when the shift begins. Quietly, subtly, but undeniably. She begins to wonder what you're doing, who you're talking to, why you're not around like you used to be. She notices the silence. She notices the lack of effort, the missing good morning texts, the way you no longer ask about her problems. And because you've been such a consistent emotional presence in her life, the disruption starts to echo. The more she thinks about why you pulled back, the more curious she becomes. And this curiosity, it's your advantage. But only if you handle it with power, not desperation. When you re-engage, it must come from a completely different place than before. You're not reaching out to see if she finally woke up to your value. You're not looking for signs. You're not hoping to be chosen. That version of you is gone. You're re-engaging from strength, from detachment, from a mindset that says, I know my worth now, I'm not chasing anything. If she compliments you, don't respond like a man starved for approval. Don't light up like she just offered you gold. Stay composed, smile, and say something like, took you long enough. Make her work for your validation now. Not because you're being arrogant, but because you're setting a new standard. Your attention is earned, not handed out like candy. If she flirts or teases, don't fold into submission. Push back a little. Say something like, you're trouble, but I like a little trouble. Make the interaction playful, magnetic, full of confidence, not tension based on fear of saying the wrong thing. You're not the same man who used to hang on her every word. You no longer agree just to keep her happy. You no longer fake laughter to seem like the fun guy. You realize something powerful. A woman doesn't want a man who agrees with everything she says. She wants a man who has his own thoughts, his own boundaries, his own sense of self. You're that man now, and she'll feel that in every word you say and every word you don't. This is when you stop over-validating. You don't say things like, you're perfect, or any guy would be lucky to have you. Because, truthfully, that level of praise is not only overdone, it's ineffective. She's heard it before, 100 times, from men who wanted her and never got her. And now, you're different. You recognize that compliments are powerful when they're rare and real. You give them like currency. When they come from you now, they mean something. Because you're no longer trying to impress her. You're showing her that she has to impress you. And that's the essence of power. In this phase, you're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're not trying to be liked. You're not worried about rejection. You're standing tall in your energy, your lifestyle, your identity, and you're allowing her to step up if she wants to be a part of it. You're not waiting at the bottom of her pedestal. You've built your own. And now, she's realizing she's not standing on it alone. You're not playing the old game anymore. You've changed the rules. And now, she gets to decide. Does she step up, or does she watch you walk away, this time for good? Either way, you don't flinch, because you're not re-engaging to get her back. You're re-engaging because you're a man of presence, a man of power, a man she now has to chase. And burn the shift when she starts to see you differently. This moment doesn't arrive with fireworks or dramatic confessions. It comes slowly, quietly, like a tide rising in the background. It sneaks up on her, and often she won't even realize it's happening at first. But it's real. The moment when the man she always saw as just a friend begins to feel different. Not because you said something, not because you confessed some deep truth, but because you changed how you showed up. And that changed what words never could. It triggered something emotional. And once that shift happens, her entire perception of you begins to rewrite itself. You're not texting like you used to. You're not asking about her day. You're not the emotional safety net she used to lean on whenever another man disappointed her. You're no longer the guy who's always just a little too available. And even if she won't admit it, she starts to notice. And more importantly, she starts to feel it. At first, it's confusion. She's used to being the center of your attention. She's used to having your support on demand. And now, there's distance. There's a silence. There's unpredictability. She texts, and you take longer to respond, or you don't respond at all. She posts a story, and for the first time, you don't react. That vacuum creates tension. That lack of emotional supply creates curiosity. She starts wondering what's changed. She starts replaying moments in her mind, trying to figure out where she lost her grip on your attention. Then comes the behavior change. She texts more than she used to. She initiates conversations. She brings up your name when she's talking to her friends. When you're in the same room, she notices how you've started dressing better, walking taller, laughing louder. She notices how other women around you are paying attention, and she starts wondering how she missed this before. Maybe it's the way your tone has changed. Maybe it's the way you carry yourself now, grounded, detached, more in control. But it's happening, and she knows it. She might make little comments like, "You've been busy lately, huh?" Or, "Da, you seem different these days." But beneath the words is something more powerful. Uncertainty. And that uncertainty, that's the seed of attraction. Because what we don't understand, what we can't predict, what we can't control, we feel more deeply. She's not sure if you're still interested. She's not sure who you're talking to now. She doesn't know if she still has that special place in your life. And that emotional tension, it begins to pull her toward you in a way she never expected. She thinks things she never thought before. Oh, why do I miss him? Why do I keep checking his stories? Why am I suddenly jealous of the girl he was talking to? She starts to notice your absence more than she ever appreciated your presence. And that's when desire begins. Not because you changed your looks, not because you became rich or famous overnight, but because you took back your power and made her work to feel close to you again. This is the turning point, the moment when she begins to feel for you what you used to feel for her. And here's the key. Don't rush it. Don't get excited and overplay it. Stay centered. Stay focused. Keep living your life. Because this new version of you, this calm, confident, self-directed man, he's magnetic, not just to her, but to the world. And the more you stand in your power, the more that energy builds. The shift isn't about forcing her to see you differently. It's about becoming a man she can't help but see differently. The man she overlooked, he's gone. And in his place, someone she never saw coming, but now can't stop thinking about. Final thought, your time starts now. If you made it this far, type empowered in the comments so I know you're one of the rare few who finishes what he starts. Support the channel, subscribe, like, share this video, because every click helps this message reach more men who need it. Every man deserves to know his value. Every man deserves to break free from the friend zone, not just with women, but in life. Let's build a world where men are no longer waiting to be chosen. They become the ones worth chasing. This is your time, and it starts now. Ulbrae bonus, how to handle indifference like a Stoic. When life hands you the cold shoulder of indifference, don't shrink back. Rise above it. Ignoring those who ignore you isn't petty. It's a powerful statement of your self-worth. Imagine this. Someone decides you're not worth their time. That's their loss, not yours. By choosing not to engage, you're saying, I'm worth more. It's like turning a mirror toward them, silently reflecting their behavior and showing them you're unaffected. Now, how do you do this without losing yourself in bitterness? 1. Focus on your life. Dive into activities that enrich you, reading, sports, learning a new skill, or just enjoying the company of those who do value you. This isn't about getting back at someone. It's about reclaiming your energy and investing it where it matters. 2. Don't react emotionally. Rejection can sting, making you want to lash out or seek validation. But here's the secret weapon from the Stoic playbook: calmness. When someone brushes you off, take a step back. Ask yourself, why is this bothering me? Often, it's not the rejection itself, but our own insecurities that hurt the most. Stay polite, stay kind. If you reach out, do so with genuine concern, not expectation. This approach isn't about being passive. It's about being the master of your emotions. 3. Remove them from your mind. Detachment isn't about forgetting. It's about redirecting your focus. Picture rejection not as a roadblock, but as a detour sign guiding you toward new paths. Explore activities that reignite your spirit. Take up a sport that tests your limits. Volunteer in a community project. Dive into a book that challenges your thinking. These aren't just distractions. They're stepping stones to self-discovery and growth. Every new experience carves out a part of you, making you more resilient, more complete. Final words: you are the prize. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. Stay true to yourself. Let your actions speak louder than their silence. Because the man who walks away with dignity, the man who invests in himself, that's the man who becomes unforgettable. And that's the man who wins, not just with her, but with life. Now go, build, arise. The world is waiting to see the king version of you. Good luck.